Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 on Prize Picks and you use the promo code WELCOME. Welcome to Light Years. Guys, before we get started with our big series preview, I have one piece of housekeeping. The listener call-in, the Goon call-ins are back starting Sunday night. Starting Sunday and every playoff pod going forward, we're bringing back the Goon callers. So if you want to call in, you want to get your takes off, tell us what you think of game 1, game 2, game 3. Game 4 is going to be the last game because I'm not playing beyond that. You want to join us. We'll be doing the pods live on playback, and we'll be simulcasting it to YouTube. So if you're a YouTube viewer and you want to watch it that way, you could stay on YouTube. If you want to call in, join us on playback. And for the millions and millions who listen on Apple and Spotify, absolutely nothing changes for you guys, bro. You're going to get the pod when you get the pod. Woo, a lot of housekeeping there.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You guys had Mikas on the last pod, and it brought me back to the old days. And I just love when the Goons are. I shouldn't say when the Goons are gooning. I should not say that, but I just said it. Light Years Goons.
We are gooning, guys.
Keep gooning. Light Years.
Sorry, yeah. No, it was premature. We were gonna bring it back mid-season. Then I was like, you know what? Let's save it let's make it a thing for the playoffs. So, and here we are, guys. Here we are.
It's 3:30 p.m. and we're talking about premature and gooning.
Bro,
let's talk some Houston Rockets.
Come on,
Come on,
boys. Let's lock in. Let's lock in.
Oh, you know, it's always my favorite because I was looking. Today's Thursday. We're recording this, and starting to see those same old media articles on Steph stopper, and they never learn, do they? They fucking never learn. Dude's an all-timer, Mount Rushmore player for me, borderline Mount Rushmore player for everyone. Still, we got to run these narratives like it's 2015 and there's some secret sauce to stopping the guy. The dude just dropped 37 and 33 while he was being fouled and hacked on every play with a broken thumb and a broken hip or whatever the fuck. Like, nobody's stopping him. Stop it.
It's pretty out of control. I mean, I was listening to the Zach Lowe show earlier this morning, and Michael Pina, who I think he's SI, or I don't know what publication he's with now, but he's been doing NBA media for a long time. As you're saying, Sam, he goes, there's a possibility that Amen Thompson is a true nuisance on the level we have never seen in a playoff series for Steph Curry. And you look, I don't want to take anything away from Amen. He is a fantastic young player, has a chance to be a star or even a superstar in this league. But we're going to act like he's a guy that we've never, ever, ever seen before. Steph has never seen a defender like him. It's crazy how when the Warriors are average or mid, everybody's like, oh, we got to appreciate Steph. We got to do all this. And then all of a sudden, when they become a threat again, it's time to bring back all the same doubt that everybody's had for the past 10 years. And they start getting written off again. It's clockwork, man. It's clockwork.
I will say Amen Thompson, pretty elite defender. I think we all agree on that. I don't think anybody disagrees on that. But it's like the same thing with guarding LeBron, right? It's just, you can be an elite defender. It was kind of like how Jokic is one. Raja Bell was the Kobe stopper. You remember that? I do think some of this is kind of par for the course when you're just an all-time great like Steph is. But I do think guarding Steph is really different from anybody else ever. Like guarding Steph is like so much more about guarding him, not when he's dribbling. And that's so different from guarding a LeBron, even a Jokic. Jokic has the ball in his hand so often, like big guy. He's not off ball guy. So I think it'll be fascinating. I also think like it's based on Amen locking him down in one game. And that was the one game where I think a couple points to be made is one, they were playing 3 games in 4 nights. We talked about that. He was tired. It also wasn't one-on-one. Like he wasn't guarding him one-on-one. Like the Houston Rockets made it a point to say, hey, beat us, everyone else, but you're not, Steph. And it's not a strategy it's not the first time we've seen that strategy. It's a strategy all these teams do. And it worked on that day. So we'll see. I think the last thing too is it might work game 1, right? Maybe it'll work game 2, but you know how it always goes. Do you remember Steph in 2022? Do you remember what they were saying about the Boston Celtics defense? The greatest
best
defense
of all
time.
Greatest defense of all time. Yeah.
Greatest of all time. And by the end of it, Marcus Smart was running away on screens. Like he was, I don't know what he was doing. Honestly,
the player of the year that year, and he's fucking irrelevant right now. So
you think Steph did that to him? Yeah, that was Steph. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It was. Let's start with the Rockets then. I mean, we're going to talk about Amen more after this. I was looking at the numbers coming into this, and Rockets top 5 defense, 12th ranked offense. 12th seems higher than I remember. Like, if you watch them, the takeaway is hyper athletic, young. They really get after it defensively. They could be very disruptive on that end. The offense, they have no shooting, and their half-court offense is awful, but they might turn you over enough that their offensive numbers look good in transition. So that's kind of the type of team I see them. And then you throw in the Sengun factor, like he's really good on the glass. Sengun is probably their best half-court offense. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, how do you think they match up with the Warriors here? Like in general, because they played 3 times this season, and there's been like multiple different Warriors seasons, but the Warriors beat them twice without Steph, and that was like November 2nd and December 5th. They also lost in the play-in, and then they've had 2 games with Jimmy Butler. One was the game before the All-Star break. Houston kind of looked like they wanted to get out of town. And then one was the one you're referencing where the Warriors looked like they just didn't want to play that night. I don't know I don't know if I can take anything from really any of those games, to be honest. It's just kind of weird. You play a team 5 times and there's not huge takeaways, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled some numbers from Cleaning the Glass and Media.com that I'm going to be referencing throughout the pod. Sam, to say Houston's half-court offense is mid is an understatement for sure. They have the 22nd ranked half-court offense in the league. The only teams worse than them are tanking teams. So really, where they really make their hay as an offense is transition. They get a solid transition offense. I want to say it's 12th in the league, and all these numbers are post Jimmy trade. Houston was very good at the end of the season. These aren't full season numbers, but I think it's a large enough sample. The Rockets played pretty good basketball after the All-Star break, so I think it's a fair sample to look at. 12th in the league, but really where they make the most of where they make up some stuff offensively is offensive rebounding. They're the best offensive rebounding team in the league by a huge margin. They're rebounding 35% of their misses, which is like percentage points better than anybody else. And they've especially been lethal with that when they go to the double big lineup of Sengun and Adams. Those are 2 absolutely elite offensive rebounders, obviously. And I mean, to me, the keys for the Warriors in the series are obviously keeping the Rockets off the glass and then not having multiple games where they're sloppy with the ball, the Warriors now, because we know we're going to get one of those games where Houston's athleticism, it's going to happen. Steph and Draymond are going to have their heads up their asses. They're going to turn the ball over 12 times, where they're going to have 20 turnovers as a team, and they're probably going to lose that game. The key to me is not having multiple games like that in this series. And I think if the Warriors can do that, then they're going to have a very, very good chance of ending this in 5 or 6.
It sounds like, based on the numbers that you showed, it sounds like if the Warriors can consistently score on one end, they'll be able to defend them. They're going to lose games if they throw the ball around. I know you just said it. I'm not trying to repeat what you're saying, but that seems to be it's not about, hey, can we defend?
I can already hear the Steve Kerr press conference. Take care of the ball.
He says it every week. I mean, I can't blame him. Like,
he should say it every week. If you watch him play, he should say it every week.
Should say it every day, actually. Now, part of it, Steve, is like, well, they're trying to run your system. Your system is it requires a lot of passes with not a lot of people that can dribble. It's going to end up being a lot of turnovers, buddy. But the system works when it works, and Steph loves it. Draymond loves it. It works. That's not the point. I think what I'm trying to say is it'll be fascinating to me kind of how they plan to score in the half court, because I can only base it off, because Sam, what you're saying earlier is none of these games matter. The only games that maybe matters is that last one. And again, like, I don't know how much we take away from it, but what happened in that game? What happened in that game was Jimmy he wasn't playoff Jimmy. He wasn't play-in Jimmy, right? He was regular season Jimmy. So I wonder what happens when he turns it up. Houston's defense, it feels like, if they're going to put Amen Thompson on Steph, then it becomes who's guarding Jimmy Butler. The best people that guard Jimmy Butler are people that Jimmy Butler can't bully. Is that Dylan Brooks? Feels like Dylan Brooks would foul out if he guards Jimmy Butler in like 8 minutes. So I can't. Sam, you got some. I
think they're gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think they start Fred VanVleet on Steph, That's my personal thought, because I think the thing that I love about Amen is it's not just that he can guard POA. That he is the POA GOAT right now. It's that dude's really good off ball. He's obviously super long and athletic and just will disrupt everything. He's a great help defender. If I was the Rockets, I suspect Ime will do this a lot. I'd put Fred on there. Fred is, on the short list of guys who, for some reason, gets away with hacking Steph every play, and then, what do the Warriors do? They turn it over a lot, and Amen is a ball hawk. So I think they're going to go Fred on Steph. I think probably Dylan on, or maybe Tari Eason. Maybe Tari,
Tari might be okay. Tari might be okay on Jimmy because he's
young, but he's got the profile. Yeah,
he might foul out in 2 minutes. Dylan Brooks.
I might put Amen on. I might put Amen on Draymond and just let him roam. They run all their action through him. It's like the classic move that we've seen teams do that lead to to your point, the Warriors turned it over 12 times in the quarter, or one of those things that gives us Kerr memes on the bench. What are you guys doing? So that's what I think. But to take it a step further, I'm sure they'll try all of it. And that's kind of the challenge of Houston, right? They do have very good defensive personnel. And even if Jimmy shows up, it's still going to be a challenge. I expect Jimmy to show up, to be clear. I expect better effort.
Yeah, that's not a question. That's not a question.
Yeah. So I do think it's interesting. I kind of wanted to, the stat Tommy pulled up kind of blew my mind a little bit. And it makes me wonder, can the Warriors stay with their small ball lineup then against the Rockets? Because if offensive rebounding is a major concern, and I don't know that Houston can play the double big lineup against the Warriors, but Şengün's he's not Zubac, but he's pretty close in terms of just offensive rebounding ability, and Steven Adams behind him, same thing. Do we got to bring in Steve's favorite playoff player? Is it Looney time?
It might
the
have
swaggiest rebounder in the NBA.
Absolutely. It might have to be at some point in this series. And I think what was interesting was in the most recent Rockets game, right, where Steven Adams hadn't been playing a lot before that. He was injured, and then they were kind of working him back slowly, probably saving his body a little bit for the playoffs. They didn't play that double big lineup at all when Steph was on the floor, because I think they know what kind of issue that is not. If they try to go to that with Steph on the floor, good luck. It's just not going to work. But yeah, I do think that's the thing that I'm going to be most focused on early in the series, and especially in these first two Houston games. How does the Warriors small ball lineup fare against Houston's size and physicality on the offensive glass? Because I think that's obviously a pivot point in the series. It might have to get to a point where they start Post or Looney, like you said, and then maybe even Post. Because I think this could be a good matchup for Post, just because the Rockets' half-court offense is so inept. I don't think they can pick on him. I don't think they can pick on him the way that Jalen Green can maybe pick on him, right, with some speed and athleticism. But Fred VanVleet, he's had maybe his worst offensive season since he was a rookie. I don't think their half-court offense can pick at Post enough. And obviously having Post out there to pull some of their if they want to put Amen on Post just so they can switch actions, great. At least we pull Amen away from the hoop, or whatever other switchable defender they put on that big. At least it gets him away from the rim. Because like you said, Sam, the issues, or the series where the Warriors have had real issues over the past 10 years is when they put a switchable defender, like OKC puts KD on Draymond, and now they're just switching all those actions and they can kind of muck everything up. So there's definitely going to be some counter punching within that giant Rockets lineup, smaller Warriors lineup, that chess match, the game within the game. But yeah, like I said, that'll be the thing I'm most focused on throughout the early portion of the series, is how does that small ball lineup hold up rebounding? Because Warriors are top 10-ish in defensive rebounding, but we saw it against the Clippers and Rockets, or the Clippers and Grizzlies. You can kind of beat them up on the O glass.
This is the first time I've ever felt like you could beat up the Warriors small ball lineup on the glass. This is the second 2016 against Cleveland. They had really big guys, but the Warriors were hurt left and right, so that you can't excuse that. But this is the first time their small ball lineup is really small. It is uncomfortably small. And that truly concerns me. There's actually a lot of things that concern me in this series. I think more so than people would like to admit. even though I see the Steph stuff, but I do see a lot of people picking the Warriors. Like most media people, I think it's too scared. I think maybe they feel like Houston's a better team, but they're gonna pick the Warriors. There's things that concern me. Like the big lineup does concern me because the only way the Warriors are gonna be able to beat that lineup is they got to run that lineup off the floor, and that requires Pods and Moody to make shots. And I know we'll get to those guys at some point later on, but like now you're kind of like it used to be you could run them off the floor because Clay will give you 30 if you run enough pick and rolls. Now it's like you run a pick and roll. Like, I don't know. Like I don't know if they'll actually make the shot. So it is concerning to me. But to Tommy's point, I want to make sure we hit that again. It's they could play Looney, and that I think helps a lot with Draymond. But the sneaky one is they could play Post because Houston can't really score. Like the sneaky part of the problem with Post is that, all right, well, he switches off on John Morant. John Morant's going to torch him. He switches off on Kawhi. Kawhi and Harden torch him. He switches off on Fred VanVleet. I mean, it ain't 2019. Knock on wood. Like,
don't even bring that up.
You kind of live with Jalen Green step back. Like you kind of live with that. You live with all that stuff. So maybe Quentin Post is a bigger part of the series than we think. Maybe.
Yeah, he might be, to your point. Like I actually think the Warriors are probably. I'm not concerned about their defense against Houston's athleticism. It sounds counterintuitive. You're like, oh, how are they going to stay in front of them? It's like if they can't shoot, the Warriors are just going to sag off of them the entire way. You know, where I'm concerned is that the Warriors are loose with the ball at all. It's 2 points the other way every time, right? Because they're so athletic. And so maybe Quentin Post can hide that way because, unlike the Clippers who like Harden can shoot, Norm Powell can shoot, Kawhi, obviously one of the best shooters in the league. They don't really have anyone that I'm worried about killing you with a jump shot. Forget a three, like even a mid-range shot. Like none of them are that guy. And so I don't know, like Steph's probably going to sag off his man 5 feet, 10 feet. Every one of them are going to. And Quentin Post isn't really going to have to guard anyone in space. So maybe they can get away with it. I hadn't even thought about that one going into it, but this might be a really good Quentin Post series.
Yeah, and it's funny. I got all the nerd stats for this one. I did my prep. One of the Warriors' best lineups post Jimmy trade is the 4 regular starters, and then you swap Steph for Post. The offense actually has not been great with that group. Only a 110-0 rating. The defense 93.6 defensive rating, which is like 10 points below, 12 points below the best defenses in the league. So I think just having that size next to Draymond, like we've talked about it so much over the past couple of years, having a big man that can just kind of like be in the paint, especially against teams that can't shoot, and Draymond can kind of play that roamer. And with Jimmy, you have 2 of those guys who are really good at covering the backside and roaming. I think they're going to be able to get away with using that lineup defensively, number 1, and then they're going to need post spacing if Steph's out of the game, number 2, against kind of Houston's size and general athleticism.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Before we move forward, let's pay a quick bill.
Let's do it. Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. Springtime is here and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players in your Prize Picks lineups. Whether strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. And with the basketball playoff push here, now is the best time to join Prize Picks. Once again, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Prize Picks has some lines up some more or less for the series already. I want to say Steph's is 35.5 for points, rebounds, assists. I think we know Steph. We know he's a little bit of a psycho. I think he's hearing all the noise about how Houston found the Stephen Curry stopper. So I'm definitely looking at the more on his points, rebounds, assists. And then I think I'm just going to go Jimmy too. Just do the playoff Jimmy Steph combo. I think that's early game 1. I think as an older team, I think these guys understand how important it is to go in and take game 1 on the road and, essentially set themselves up to, if they win game 2, great. If not, then, you at least split on the road. So that's what I'm going to be playing on Sunday, along with all the other fun stuff. Prize Picks is really the app to use to create a lineup. Once again, all you have to do is pick more or less. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup using the code LIGHTYEARS. Prize Picks, run your game.
Guys, one of the most underrated items of clothing is your underwear. Like, nothing ruins my day more than stiff, ill-fitting boxer briefs, whether they like hike up on your legs or they're not elastic, they get loose, whatever it may be, they don't hold their form. It's really annoying. And it's definitely the item of clothing during my college years. I was like, do this, I'll go get the cheapest thing I can. And then you get older and you're like, you know what? I go cheaper on other items of clothing. Nothing makes me feel better than a good pair of underwear. And honestly, nothing better than Skims.
The GOAT.
Like, they are, no joke, the most comfortable boxer briefs I've had. Like, the perfect blend of kind of holding its shape and flexibility. I definitely was skeptical before, but I totally get the hype. I went and bought myself like 5 pairs after. Now it's all I wear. So guys, shop at Skims Men's, skims.com or Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu. So you select podcast and then you look for our show and select it. Skims, the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, USA Basketball, and Light Years. All right. So getting back to the series a little bit, this has been a larger talking point than it should be because there's agendas at play. But the Jonathan Kuminga factor, and we got to talk about it. Obviously, he didn't play.
At least we waited till the second segment, Sam. Thank you.
Well, it's interesting because, like, okay, so this, sometimes I wonder if the Warriors aren't as big as I think they are, because if you listen to national shows, they're like shocked Steve didn't play him against the Clippers and the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm just like, dude, hey, I get it. Like, you would think he'd play, but if you watch the team and you understand he kind of hasn't had a clear role since Jimmy's come, that was the most obvious thing ever. In a single elimination, no chance, right? Now, we all know Steve's going to give him shots, and he should give him shots in the beginning part of the Houston series, see if he can figure out a way to impact the game. Now, what's interesting here is if you look at it, the most success he had this season was against Houston, and it was before the Jimmy trade. The 2 non-Steph games were by far his best games, not just because of the numbers, but because he played like winning effective basketball in both those games. He played like that wing playmaker. People who are high on his upside think he can be. He was getting downhill. He was getting the Rockets into foul trouble. He was using athleticism on the glass. I think he had 33, 7, and 2 in one of the games, and 22, I think 22, 6 and something else. Good efficiency both games. And so I dug into both games. I watched the film on it. And the thing that stands out to me in both those games is they're running kind of the Giannis or Zion offense around him. So the starting lineups were no Steph Curry. So it was Pods, Buddy, who's a shooter, Wiggins, who's a shooter. They honestly, I was thinking about it, they miss Wiggins more offensively than defensively.
Yeah.
Honestly, they just missed the fact that he could do both things at a good level. But anyway, you get what I'm saying.
That's the one. I
think the shooting part is the biggest. Like, they really are depending on marginal shooters, and at least he's a reliable catch and shoot guy. Anyway, so they had 3 shooters around him, and those are 3 guys who want to play like catch and shoot basketball.
Yeah.
And then it was either Draymond or Looney as just like a big, and he just got to like go one-on-one at a pick and roll and get downhill against a young team. And it was super effective. And I get why people were excited by him in those games. That's the best he's played. That's like kind of, you see it in those situations, right? But I don't really see how he gets that opportunity in this team. And so my question for you guys is, he's going to get opportunities, and he should get opportunities, particularly in the beginning part of the series. We know how Steve is. 11 guys are playing on Sunday, feel out game. And then once the other teams won 2 games in the series, then the rotation goes down to what we saw, on Tuesday against the Grizzlies. You either help us or you don't. What can Jonathan Kuminga do, and what is his role going to be in this series? What could he do that would actually keep him in the rotation?
Well, I mean, like you said, Sam, I think he really will get a shot. He'll get at least 1 or 2 shifts in game 1. And I think a key to that is actually going to be tying his minutes to Steph and not to Jimmy, because we just haven't seen it work well with Jimmy. One of the Warriors' best lineups this year, funny enough, is Steph, GP, Buddy, Kuminga, and Looney. And I think there's a chance we see a lineup like that. Steph, GP, Buddy, Kuminga, Looney, right? So you got Steph shooting and gravity. Obviously, you got Buddy. Even if he's not making shots, he's at least taking defenders with him.
Yeah.
And then you just got three kind of goons. And the thought process would be you put Kuminga maybe in some screen and roll with Steph. You let him set pin downs for Buddy. But to me, it's not going to be the offensive side of the ball that keeps him in this series. It'll be the defensive side of the ball. It'll be the rebounding, and is he an aware enough defender? And I think with the lack of Rockets shooting, you can maybe get away with more Kuminga minutes because the mistakes aren't as magnified, right? Against a team that can shoot the ball, Kuminga's mistakes get magnified very quickly because you're half second late on a rotation, it's 3 points. Against the Rockets, that's not going to be an issue. So maybe those mistakes don't matter as much, and he is physical on the boards, mixes it up, grabs 4 or 5 rebounds in his first shift. And I think that's how he stays in the series. I think we know if he plays long enough, he'll eventually score enough around the basket. It's going to be about whether he can defend and whether he can rebound.
Well, I mean, going back to what Sam is saying, though, like the what made him play so well are the things that they're not going to ask him to do on Sunday. And that's just in itself going to be the problem. I don't want to be the bad guy here, but I do. But I love it. Like, it's just like, in what world are they going to give him the ball in situations where it's one-on-one? Like, it's just they're trying to win a basketball game, not develop a player that might be good in the future. So,
I think it's even more complicated than that because he proved playing one-on-one against Houston, you can win basketball games. Yeah. But that's only if you have spacing around him and you don't have Wiggins. You don't have like the same players. So to your point, like, I don't know how he generates those same looks because to Tommy's point, okay, you want him to play the non-Jimmy minutes. That might be 8 minutes a game.
Yeah.
You know, like, so for him to actually have a role in this team or in this series, like a real role, not like a 7-minute cameo role, he has to figure out a way to play with Jimmy. And that's the question I have not been able to answer. I could see how in like 6 months it could work. I cannot see how it's going to work on, let's call it Sunday night.
They're not solving it in a week. This is not a solvable equation in a week. This is an equation that you solve by giving him the contract that he wants, so he's happy, and then having a full training camp, and then making the right role player additions that, to Sam's point, are shooters. Mm-hmm. And then Jimmy's passing in the regular season. Like, Jimmy ain't passing on Sunday. Jimmy a dog in the play. He gonna get his 34.
Or if he is passing, he's running kind of like the LeBron offense. Like, hey, I'm getting downhill. I'm getting into the mid post. You're going to get a wide open shot. You better hit it. And that's not Kuminga's game. He's not Andrew Wiggins.
Exactly. So
I want to talk about it. God, Wiggins would have been the perfect player.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, Wiggins, I was watching Clay last night. Clay's
Otto.
Otto. I mean,
Harrison Barnes.
They're missing one. Yeah. They are missing that one guy. If you want to talk about like too small, like Otto is the perfect guy. And then shooting defense is Wiggs. And then shooting is Clay. Like, they miss all those guys. But I want to go back a little bit to your initial
shooting
point.
Being bullied by Draymond. It's Harrison Barnes, you know. So, yeah.
Jordan Poole. I think I know you joke about Steve going 11 deep. I actually think that's going to be it's going to be like the biggest downfall of this series. If they lose this series, it's because Steph is playing 30 minutes in Sunday. And we know Steph is going to play 32 minutes on Sunday. I just think that's going to be the biggest downfall because you can't give away games. And we watched them. Remember that Lakers series a couple years ago? They lost game 1 and Steph played like 33 minutes and we all complained about it. All you had to do was play Steph 30
AD and LeBron played 42. It was honestly exactly like the Clipper game where it was like they went in there with the we need this win. We're going all out. We'll throw the next game. We don't care anymore. We just want one game. We want one game at Chase Center. I know exactly which series you're talking about. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think the Warriors should be doing. And I know for a fact they won't, but I'm just saying, like, you guys aren't good enough to be like Steph plays 32 because what's going to happen is you don't think so? You disagree?
What if Steve's turned a new leaf? What if we got playoff Steve now? What if playoff Jimmy's rubbed out on what if playoff Jimmy's rubbed on Steve?
No. Well, Jimmy gets his 40 minutes. That's the thing that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, Jimmy gets to play all his minutes, but But like, and I get why why Steve doesn't do it with Steph. It's like he does so much off ball that it's exhausting. Blah blah blah. But it's just like, if you lose the series in 6, you know why. Like they lost that Lakers series in Game 1.
Yeah,
but I do think there is kind of a key difference here between that Lakers series in 2023 and coming into this. Well, I mean, obviously, we'll get more into that in a couple of weeks. But that Lakers series, going to that Lakers series, Warriors had just come off a really tough 7-game series against the Kings, who were playing at a breakneck pace. They had, I want to say, 1 day off.
Right. That's true.
I think they had 1 day off in between those games. I think it was like it ended on a Sunday. They played on a Tuesday, something like that. You know what I mean? They do have 4 days off. And
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So they do have 4 days off. So I think the way they obviously should approach it is what you're saying, Andy, and the way that the Lakers approached it a couple years ago against the Warriors, come in and win Game 1. So if you take Game 2, great. Now you're up 2-0. But throw all your eggs in the basket for Game 1, and then you can let kind of Game 2 play out how it plays out. And there's 2 days off between Game 1 and Game 2, and Game 2 and Game 3. So I think there is an opportunity for Steve to stretch the minutes a little bit more than he normally would, just because of how the series schedule is setting up.
Yeah.
Really, just looking at it, they really need to be up 2-1 after the first 3 games.
Yes. Yep. Because this schedule is perfect for them. It's 4 days and then 2 days and then 2 days. I mean, it's
every other day.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. That's going to be bad for them. If it gets to Game 7, I know the Warriors, and I think to Tommy's point, like, you know why they went to Game 7 against Sac? Because they fucked around and lost Game 6 at home. To Sac, so they had to go and play on 1 day's rest in Game 7, right? So I just remember
that's also a much worse team than the team they currently have. I'm just going to say that 2023 team is a couple levels below this current Warriors team. You did not have anybody. You didn't have anybody near Jimmy.
They lost
as the second
couple
guy.
levels below.
They lost Game 1 of that series because Andrew Wiggins hadn't played basketball in 2.5 years. Yep. He went 0 for 8, including a wide open 3 at the end of the game. There was multiple opportunities. They extended that series being stupid when they didn't have to. The Game 6 one is the biggest one, obviously, in the mind, because it felt like they won the series in Game 5, and then they had the complete no-show in Game 6. But yeah, I mean, Game 1 of that series, Wiggins' first game back, I thought he played well, but he couldn't hit a shot, which is to be expected. They lost by 3 points. I mean, you can keep. Anyway, the point is, don't lose games you should win, and then you don't have these issues in general. So
to bring it back to the Kuminga point, so I brought that up only to say, if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket to win a game, should Kuminga be playing? And so that's where, and I think you're right. I think Kuminga is going to get his minutes, some minutes to show that he can play on Sunday. I agree with that. All I'm saying is, they treated, the Clippers and the Memphis game like they wanted to win because they had to win those games. If you have to win, if you feel like you have to win the one game, then should Kuminga be playing? That's all I'm asking. That's what I'm at, because you can't really fuck around.
Let's take it back to my question, because neither of you answered it. And to be fair, I just said I don't have an answer. So it's like it's an easy one. What is the way Kuminga plays is they find a way to play effective basketball with Jimmy Butler on the floor. Everyone, you know how everyone can be effective? You put them in a lineup with Steph saying screens for them, like shocker. That works for everyone, right? But he needs to figure out how to play with Jimmy. So what does that look like? What does it look like? What is the Jimmy Kuminga Draymond or Jimmy Kuminga Post? Maybe it is a Post thing.
I think it's one of those two things. I think it looks like it's Jimmy and Kuminga, and then you'd have to probably go 2 of Pods, Moody, and Buddy. So 2 of those 3. And then you go, the big next to Jimmy is either Post or it's Gee. Because I think Gee could factor into this series too with Houston's physicality, their athleticism. Mm-hmm. Gee is a guy who can keep people off the boards. And look, he only played 6 minutes against Memphis on Tuesday, but I thought it was a good 6 minutes, and he was not overwhelmed by Memphis's physicality. Memphis isn't quite as athletic as this Houston team, but they share some similar traits: young, fast. They want to push pace. Gee didn't look overwhelmed in that environment, so I think it'd be one of those two combinations. But like you're saying, Sam, it basically has to be Jimmy and Kuminga, and then shooters. If it's not Steph, it has to be 2 of those guards that I named, and then either Post or Gee. That's the only way it works. I don't think you can throw those 2, Jimmy and Kuminga, with Looney or Draymond. It just gets too clunky, especially without Steph.
And he's got to rebound the ball hard. Like the thing, Steve is going to bench him if he feels like he's playing with regular season intensity. That's actually probably the number one reason he will. Spacing is an issue. There's a bunch of things, but it's like, is he engaged enough? Does he want it? Is he willing to show me that he wants it enough? Fair or not, that's the standard he's holding him to. And it honestly,
fair or not, fair or not, what the fair or not, absolutely fair. It's right. If we're talking about you having to be able to try hard in a playoff series, stay home, man. All right, let's get to some more fun topics after the break here. But before
you need a fucking Via right now.
Yeah, you do. That's what I need. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I'm excited to talk about this stuff after the break. Light Years Podcast, we're brought to you by Via. Guess what, guys? Sunday night, the game 1, Houston Rockets, Golden State Warriors is on 420. And there's no better time to elevate your wellness routine, whether you want to relax, which I need to do, recharge, or refocus, which is what I need to do during work. Via has the perfect lineup for you. Trusted by over 500,000 happy customers. Via is changing the game in natural wellness. If you're looking for ability to sleep better libido, improve focus, recover, or relax, Via's got a tailored solution for you. They've got products ranging from 0, which is what I use, 0, or high cannabinoid levels. Via lets you fully customize your experience to fit your needs. And the best part, they legally ship across the U.S., discreet, direct to your door, no medical card required, and backed by a worry-free guarantee. And listen, when I first started, I really didn't know which one I wanted. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but what they've got is they've got a Via product finder quiz. Go fill that out. Takes literally like 30 seconds, and they'll give you personalized recommendations tailored to what you want, which is why I ended up with the 0 cannabinoid level, but also helping me relax when I watch Warriors games. So if you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in your description. Treat yourself to Via's annual Spring 420 sale, Black Friday level savings up to 35% site-wide right now, up to 50% off packs and bundles, and get a free gift plus more savings with your first order over $50 using our exclusive code LIGHTYEARS. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over $50. That's code LIGHTYEARS at the link in our description. And after you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them Light Years sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via and Klay Thompson.
You could be smiling like Klay after you have Via, guys.
Look at this guy. Okay, he's got to take down OKC. It's going to be just like old times, baby. That's my guy.
I was so happy for him yesterday. I was so happy for Klay to catch a heater in the playing game.
Yeah.
Light Years Podcast, we are brought to you by Timeline. Cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. And with MitoPure supplements, you can support your health by encouraging cellular renewal. MitoPure recharges your cells, supporting any goals by helping all of your systems work better. You'll feel the difference in your energy levels, your workouts, your endurance, and your recovery. MitoPure is the only supplement on the market clinically proven to target the effects of age-related cellular decline. I've taken MitoPure supplements, and I can tell you it's been a game changer. Once again, my workouts are better. I feel like I have more energy, and I can rest well knowing I'm taking care of my health. It's once a day and easy to take. You will thank me later. Right now, Timeline is offering 10% off your MitoPure order. Go to timeline.com/lightyears. That is timeline.com/lightyears. Get your MitoPure today.
Sam, you are muted, sir.
We talked about the challenges Houston presents. My question for you is, what advantages do the Warriors have? Because we kind of started on the, they're going to lose a game and it's going to look like this. It's going to kind of look like that loss you've seen 100 times in the last 10 years, What advantages do you think the Warriors present in this series?
First and foremost, they have the 2 best players in the series.
Yeah.
If you just want to take it to a very, very basic level, Steph is the best player in the series. I don't think anybody would question that. And Jimmy Şengün's been really good this year. Come on. Good player, very solid player, maybe just sub all-star level. Jimmy is a level or 2 better than that at the very least. And Jimmy can masquerade as the best. I mean, we've not even masquerade. We've seen him be the best player in playoff series against Giannis, against Jason Tatum, you count it, anybody from the Eastern Conference. He's been the best player in those series. So, I mean, it's very, very sports talk radio take. They have the best 2 players in the series. And as long as they're responsible with the ball and they're able to get a certain, enough stops and rebound the basketball, that's the advantage to me is they're going to have, especially late in games and half-court shot creation, they're just going to have such an advantage over a Houston team that is young and incredibly inexperienced. The only guys with playoff experience on this roster, Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. Every other guy that's a part of their main rotation is playing their first playoff series of their career.
Yeah. So more specifically, I think the biggest advantage will be in crunch time. These games nobody's blowing anyone out. Actually, I don't think the Warriors are going to blow the Rockets out. I can see the Rockets winning a game, blowing them out, but because that's what the Warriors do in the postseason. But I think their biggest advantage is going to be it's going to be crunch time. The Warriors are going to be able to defend them. We talked about it, but in crunch time, a lot of the stuff revolves around, can we just get a good shot? And the Warriors have just enough good defense to where they can defend Houston's good shot. And it doesn't really matter how great the defenders are that Houston has. Steph and Jimmy are going to get a good shot in crunch time, no matter what. So if the games are close, like if you told me all 7 games are close, the Warriors are winning 4 of them for sure. But if you told me that the Rockets outclass them by the end of the series and start winning games by 10 to 15 because the Warriors are just too tired, too slow, okay, you could argue maybe. But if all of these are close games, the Warriors aren't losing this series.
It's worth noting, I decided to look it up because I was curious. Warriors are 9-4 in clutch games since they've got Jimmy Butler. I actually thought they had a better record than that.
It was until San Antonio and Clippers.
And LA. Okay. So
yeah. Okay. That makes sense. The San Antonio game, they lost well before clutch time, to be clear. So I'm going to throw that one out. The Clippers one, I mean, they outdueled them in the end. That was a classic. Like, they were better in the clutch than the Warriors. So I can tip my cap on that one. But the thing that stands out to me, yeah, exactly. The thing that stands out to me is since they've got Jimmy, they've been incredibly reliable at these close games. And clutch stats, for what it's worth, is only referring to games that it's 5 points with 5 minutes left. Like the game in Memphis where they won, I'm not sure it counts as clutch time, even though it got close at times. But it was a lot of Jimmy and Steph. Just anytime Memphis got within an inch, they're like, nope, taken away from this right now. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, everyone's going to say it's like the young guys versus the veterans, but it's true. You're talking about three Hall of Famers, first ballot. I think Jimmy's first ballot, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially, look, if 5-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Star, multiple All-Defensive teams, 2 finals appearances, especially if he makes another couple runs with the Warriors, I think he's easy first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, wow.
He should be. When you look at the standard of player who's first time in the NBA, yeah. I think he clears it. But
that might be the way to play.
Steph and Draymond are obviously first ballot Hall of Famers. So my point is, you're not talking about just a veteran team. You're talking about like all-time players. I think that has to matter. And if it doesn't matter, then they're all washed. And what are we doing here anyway? Right?
If the Rockets had someone like Anthony Edwards, I think we'd have a different. It'd be like if they had Anthony Edwards instead of Jalen Green, right, or instead of Şengün.
Well, they'd be the number 1 seed if that was the case. But yeah,
yeah, probably. Well,
they would have been battling with OKC.
2 seed. Yeah. Oh, I guess they are the 2 seed, but at least they'd be closer. But yeah, like if they had like a true up and coming superstar, I think just this whole thing would be different. But it's just you're looking at it, and it's just like is Şengün like Şengün wins him a game in crunch time one time, like it wouldn't surprise me. But like, are you going to rely on that for 3 more wins? Like I just it's hard to see outside of them blowing the Warriors out.
If I could take any Rocket on my team, it would be Amen Thompson. Like that dude is fucking good. He's a winner. He's going to be a part of a winning team for the duration of his career, but he's never going to be a first option. That's not his game. That's not who he is. Like, I guess never say never, but like he strikes me. I mean, you watch him. Do you think he's going to develop into a first option?
I think he has the ball handling and passing chops to do it. He's a really good passer as well, but it's going to be the shooting. It's going to come down to the shooting. I mean, if we're just talking about like a role that he would play on a championship team at his ceiling, it's probably something more like an Anthony Davis. Obviously a way different player, but like never going to be the super reliable number 1 scorer, but can score enough as that kind of number 2, number 3 guy, and then just affects the game in every way possible outside of that.
Well, it's like the Scottie Pippen or the Draymond Green thing where he's never going to be the offensive focal point, but he might be the best player on the floor if you're watching. Like if you're watching, he does more things that matters. Like if he ever finds himself his Steph or something, like there'll be a dynasty. I would bet on him, and like, which is to Andy's point, they don't have the scorer. They don't have the Anthony Edwards. If they had Anthony Edwards, I'd be buying Houston stock, not just on this series, but like over the next decade, like those two growing together, the wing who's more of like the 30-point scorer, and then that other guy who's just elite at everything else in the game of basketball, and also still a pretty good scorer.
The more I think about it, I'm going back to what Sam said. The more I think about it, it's the real advantage is it's freaking obvious shit here, but it's Jimmy Butler. It's Jimmy Butler because they don't have anyone that can guard Jimmy Butler because they're throwing it at Steph. And Ime Udoka, after getting slapped in the face all 2022 by Steph, is not going to allow that to happen. Yeah. Like Ime Udoka would rather get fired than watch Steph go for another 35 a game on like in 2022. So the more I think about it, the more it's, how are they going to guard playoff Jimmy? Is it really going to be Tari Eason? Tari Eason doesn't play that much though when they're fully healthy. Is it going to be Dylan Brooks?
He's on the hipster all-star team. You just people who try to show they're really big basketball, and there's like, oh, Tari Eason, so good.
Yeah.
I think it'll be
even Amen Thompson, by the way. Like even Amen Thompson, which I think is actually a better matchup for Steph than Jimmy, because Amen Thompson's going to get bullied by Jimmy. Yeah. Amen Thompson's not big enough to guard Jimmy.
Nah, he's
not
wiry.
The way that Jimmy. Yeah, but like, this is not disrespect, because I just think he's quick, he's strong, he's long. That's better to guard Steph. But against Jimmy, it's like, who do they actually have for him? He might go for 35. He might average 30. He might win Finals MVP. Like classic Steph sidekicks behavior is you win Finals MVP. Like go down the list. Andre, KD, those are the greatest Robins ever. Like it's the more I think about it, that's because we just haven't seen the playoff Jimmy version, right? And so I don't know.
You brought it up. You brought it up earlier, and it's just like, yeah, the Houston game from a week ago where Steph didn't score and people over-indexed it. I didn't really, I'm just looking at Jimmy's numbers here. 7 total shots.
Yeah.
7 total shots, which honestly feels like is 5 more than I remember. He was like a ghost in that game. It wasn't even that they were doing anything to him. It was just it was a regular season. We won 3 big ones. I'm just chilling out here. What if he did that on purpose to not show his hand to Houston?
I mean, I think he does do a little bit of that, right? I just in general, I think he actually, the funny thing about, coming into the Jimmy era and like before the trade, you're hearing this stuff. Steve doesn't know if it can work. And, there's that, I'm not sure about his attitude and he's like all that type of stuff. Steve is in love with Jimmy now. Because I think Jimmy views
took one game. Do you remember Steve's smile after the Chicago game? It's like it's just I'm gonna make some fucking crude analogies. That's all this.
No, I think the thing about Jimmy is, especially during the regular season, he views that as his time to play more of the Andre role and to get all of his teammates involved and to boost their confidence essentially. Cause he's Jimmy is a very smart dude. Udonis Haslem was on ESPN the other day. He said he had a conversation with Dwayne Wade and he's like, Dwayne, you were super talented. LeBron is crazy talented, but Jimmy's smarter than both of you guys. And I think Jimmy really does a crazy thing to say. Who knows if it's true or not, but I think Jimmy views the long game the same way Steve does, in terms of Steve's system is all about keeping everybody involved over the long term and keeping everybody happy. And that gets very annoying. All that kumbaya shit does get annoying from time to time, but there's a longer game in view when Steve is doing that. And I think Jimmy is the same way. So when playoff time comes, he can kind of toggle between those two identities of this alpha scorer and this distributor, depending on what the team needs. And I do think Houston has some bodies for him. Dylan Brooks is strong enough to maybe take some of his bully ball on and Tari maybe too, but maybe 26 or 27-year-old Amen Thompson can, and not 21-year-old. He's just not, he's not going to be there yet.
Maybe the Rockets in 2 years, honestly, might be the perfect matchup for this team, but yeah.
Right. But I don't think they're there quite yet. And that's another reason, again, why I'd lean Warriors, outside of my obvious inherent biases. And I think Jimmy's going to be able to get enough switches on to Şengün. And if they want to play that double big lineup against the Warriors bench lineups of Adams and Şengün, good luck. Jimmy is going to fry those lineups as long as you put enough shooting around him. So yeah, it could easily be a Jimmy series. And like we touched on with Waz and Ethan the other day, Sam, that we're going to come out of this series potentially hearing like, well, maybe Jimmy's actually the Warriors Batman and Steph's going to take a backseat to the playoff run. Like I can already see that storyline forming if Jimmy kind of goes off and Steph plays more of like honestly kind of a decoy role, which for Steph is, 23 points a game instead of 30.
Oh, he's happy to do that. Which by the way is funny.
Honestly,
because
save his legs. They're going to need him. They're going to need him to cook at some point later in the playoffs. If Houston wants to play some bullshit junk defense with 2 to 3 guys on Steph and Jimmy cooks them on to the next round,
I love that energy. Also, I just think on that piece, it's just like, at some point as a basketball watcher, if Steph has got 3 different Batmans next to him, it's got to tell you something about Steph. It's like it can't just be 3 different guys that now you're saying is like, it's like, oh, I wonder why there's 3 players that have come through, right, that have done all these things as the power forward. That's awesome. So anyway,
yeah, for sure. We're gonna get predictions real quick. Before we do that, guys, I just want to remind you about our friends over at Body Spec. They've been sponsoring all year long. You guys know the drill. If you listen to the show, you follow along. Go get a DEXA scan. What is a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition. Standing on the scale, while cool, ultimately doesn't let you know whether you're in shape or what things you need to take care of to get yourself in optimal shape. A DEXA scan tells you your lean muscle mass, your body fat percentage, the visceral fat, like all the things that are actual indicators of your health and the things that you want to know. And the cool thing about Body Spec is with the code LightYears45, you can get a DEXA scan for only $45. That's usually a $200 to $400 value right there. These things are expensive. Body Spec has made it affordable for everyone. Price of a copay. LightYears45. Get that DEXA scan. And they got locations in the city and LA with mobile vans that'll come to you. It's really that easy. Bodyspec.com, LightYears45. Start your fitness journey. Yeah. So let's get through it. I got a couple things I want to talk to you guys about. Who's your X factor for the Warriors this series? Man, we can go both teams. And Tommy, you want to go first?
Okay.
Or you want me to go sure. First? I think I don't know if I'm going to pin it on one guy. I think I know that Steph and Jimmy are both going to show up. It's going to, and this might be every series, so this kind of feels like a cop-out. Can the Warriors role players make enough shots? But I think it's particularly against this Houston team, and especially the way we saw them play the Warriors a week and a half ago, they're going to put a lot of attention on Steph. Just like Andy said, Ime is not letting Steph beat him again. If you remember that game from a couple Sundays ago, Buddy went off. Buddy was getting warm-up shots. And Pods had a really nice game too, just in terms of like shooting the ball, right? He got spooked in some other moments and had some bad turnovers, whatever. But, they were getting wide open shots, like warm up, take the win, take the temperature type of shots. If they can make those consistently enough, and it'll come like at Moody, Buddy, Pods, Post, even Gee a little bit. If they can make enough of those shots, I think the Warriors win this series pretty handily. If not, then I think it could get pretty messy. And I think it could definitely go 6 or 7 games very easily. From the Houston side, I don't know if there's one guy. Again, I don't know if there's one guy. I mean, Amen, I think, is going to be a massive X factor in this series. Can Şengün score in the post on Draymond? Those numbers are not very good during the regular season. It's like 0.7 points per possession. Draymond post-ups or Şengün post-ups on Draymond. So if they can't get enough offense out of that, that's going to be an issue. But I'd say Jalen Green shot making is a huge X factor for Houston. If he has some magnet 3-ball games where he's making everything he looks at, this series is going to go long. If he doesn't shoot the ball well, Houston will not be able to generate good enough half-court offense. And then kind of last part of this, can a young team stay locked in against the Warriors' actions for, 4, 5, 6, 7 games? It feels like they might wear down mentally.
Yeah.
So I asked for an individual X factor, and I got 6.
I know.
I love Tom.
Andy, maybe you can follow the rules.
I knew Sam would say that.
I knew it was coming.
The Warriors, I've got X Factor. Jonathan, fuck no, I'm kidding. It's easily Podziemski. It's quite clear to me it's Podziemski. He's got to make shots. He's the only guy that can actually make shots. Because Buddy maybe, but Buddy's not gonna be able to stay on the floor consistently like Pods does. Pods is gonna play 40 minutes a game. So can he make 4 or 5? Can he make 4 or 5? Can he make 3 to 4 threes? Can he score 18 points? Like that's gonna be the X Factor. I think it's like quite clearly him. because I can see Moody getting benched, right? Pods isn't going to. For the Houston Rockets, it's Şengün. It's to me because I've seen him get benched at the end of games, and the value of Şengün is that he can offensive rebound, and he can. If Şengün scores on Draymond consistently, which like that isn't going to happen, but like if he plays well enough to where he finishes games, I think that's a bad sign for the Warriors. If Şengün plays to the point where Ime has to bench him, then I actually think that might be a good thing for the Warriors. So that's the big one, because I probably would pick Jalen Green, Tommy, but like I don't see how Jalen Green plays well consistently. So I don't even have that as that would just be a fucking surprise. I was like, oh my God, Jalen Green's averaging 20 points a game in this series. I you know what I mean? But Şengün, I think, is good enough to like to beat the Warriors a couple games. So that to me, that's the closest one.
Yeah, and Jalen's been terrible against the Warriors this year. He's averaging like 20 points on
except for that one game. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Pods. So the core three are going to get their run, and we're expecting all of them to show up. And if I have to put like Draymond not getting suspended as an X factor, that's a much bigger issue.
Kinda is.
Euro big.
Kind of is an X factor, actually.
You know, Turkey, are we well, yeah, technically.
I think it's Asia, technically.
It's both. It depends which side of they're like, anyway, that's a different conversation. What I was going to say is I'm going Pods because he's going to play the most minutes. He's going to be the fourth most played guy in this series, fouling and whatnot withstanding. Steve's going to give him a ton of opportunities, and he's played so well in the second half of the season. Like they need his shot making to continue so he can do all the other things he does. They need him out there for rebounding because Houston is scrappy with loose balls. They need him connecting plays. He needs to be able to hit shots. So for me, Pods is the big one. If Pods has like the classic young guy not ready for the moment issues, I think that's a much bigger deal for them than like Moses Moody having an issue hitting shots, because they depend on Pods more. They're happy to bench Moody and go to GP2 or Gee if they have to. They don't really have a guy who does what Pods does for them, particularly when Steph's off the floor. And on the Houston side, I mean, I think it's Şengün, but I'm going to go a different direction just for conversation's sake. Dylan Brooks. Goon. He has the ability to goon this up in a way, get Draymond suspended, do certain things to kind of make this series a little bit of a circus. Beyond being a good he's a good basketball player. Maybe not as good as his shot selection would make you think he is, but he's a good basketball player. I think if they get like the best version of Dylan Brooks, he's going to be an irritant. He might take the Warriors out of rhythm by just doing some of the antics he does. And so I think that's an X factor. On the flip side, if he just feels kind of neutered and doing nothing out there, I feel pretty confident in the Warriors. So that's mine.
I mean, I think, if they put Steph on him, I think it's a good point, because if they put Steph on Dylan, they're probably going to try to go to him in the post early and get Steph in foul trouble. So if he's making shots and he's getting Steph into foul trouble, it'll be an issue for sure.
Okay, serious prediction, Tommy.
My head says 6 games. My heart says 5 games. Warriors in 6 or 5. I'm going to go Warriors in 6. I think, like Sam laid out earlier, plays out like the classic. You win one on the road, and then you come back home. I think they might probably take the next 2 at home and then lose to Houston game 5 on the road and then come back and win in 6.
I think it's 5 or 7, actually. I think they're going to look. I think they have a chance to figure it out very quickly because of the Jimmy stuff as the second alpha, and they can just end this pretty quickly, or it's just going to be a slog, and they're going to be older, and it's going to be one day off, and it's just going to go to 7. My gut kind of saying 7, which is kind of painful. So I'm gonna go Warriors in 7. I'm gonna go Warriors in 7 just because I think I've watched them. Just some of these close games scare me, even though I know it's like, hey, they've got the big advantage in close games. But I don't know if I trust these role guys to make shots enough. Like, I don't trust Moody. I don't trust Pods. I don't trust Buddy. I don't trust Post. So I'm going to go Warriors in 7. But, if Jimmy does his thing and they win this, it wouldn't surprise me. But I just feel like this is going to go all the way. It just makes.
They have more than 2
how the
alphas,
Warriors
by
are
the
now.
way. They have more than 2 alphas. As Pod said, adding Jimmy another alpha, we have all alphas out there, 5 alphas.
Yeah, that's did he say that? That's funny.
Yeah, it was
funny.
It's pretty funny, which 5 alphas is better than what the Bulls had with the 3 alpha team.
Yeah.
So.
Rondo,
you don't want what
Wade,
the Bulls
Jimmy.
have. Actually, you don't want what the Bulls
unless you're Sacramento, in which case that's all you want, apparently.
Oh man.
Sabonis for Vooch offseason trade. Let's get it.
That's actually the one. It's like if they can make Sengun become like Sabonis, like turn him into like Sabonis. I don't know.
I think he's better than Sabonis today.
Yeah, he is, right? He is.
Well, actually, you know what? Let's revisit this at the end of the series because the Sabonis weakness is when he plays against like the high level competition, he does not look like an all-star at all.
Yep.
I think Sengun can hold his own a little better personally. I'm gonna go Warriors in 6. I tend to think 6 or 7 for reasons Andy's saying too. I think age is going to catch up to him at certain points in the series, and I think as much as Steve is showing more urgency, he is who he is as a coach. He believes in the long game, and they're going to trick away at least one early series game, not playing guys enough minutes, and they're just not good enough to do that anymore. So that's how you get into longer series. 27-year-old Steph, they could do it because him and Clay might go nuclear and overcome the deficit in the fourth quarter. This Warriors team, they don't have the opportunity to do those cutesy games the way they used to. So I'm going to say 6. I would not be surprised if it was 7. Shocker. All 3 of us picked the Warriors.
It's based on what you're saying. I agree with it. Like, I just don't think it's going to be easy. Nothing's been easy for the Warriors. Nothing has been easy for the Warriors in a long time. Like, it's just, I don't have that level of arrogance watching this team. It's like, do I think they're going to win? I think they're going to win. I think they're a better team. They're not those same guys.
Well, they're not as skilled as they were in the past. They don't shoot the ball as well as they did in the past. In the past, they were
like that.
I think they defend, but they're not as
not like that.
They are kind of a hard, like a lunch pail hard hat team. They are kind of Jimmy's identity because outside of Steph, do you trust anyone to hit an open 3?
No, but but
Jimmy might be number 2 for me right now.
Post, so Post is number 2.
Post
is bad. That's not good, right? That's like,
but Moody. It's like as much as I think Moody's a 3 and D guy, the 3 is still a work in progress. A lot of the
Moody
time,
hits a 3. I'm screaming when Moody hits a 3. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, let's go. He hit that big like above the break 3, and he shoots it with his feet pointing. I was like, that's how I shoot 3s. That can't be good. Can't be a good thing. I also think defensively, Sam. Like, I think things have changed defensively too, though. Like, Iguodala is special, man. Like Clay, they don't even have.
Well, if you're comparing him to peak Warriors, there's no conversation, no doubt about that. But I actually think if you were to ask me, I think they're a better defensive team than they're an offensive team right now. Maybe it's. I don't know that it really matters because I think they're smart on both sides of the ball, but I have a little more faith in them getting a stop than I do in when a role player shot.
No, I think the other way around. Well, I don't think a role player is going to shoot the ball on offense when it matters. Like,
I think you're thinking too much about that Clippers game, Andy. I think that Clippers game messed up your head.
Bro, Kawhi Leonard went like 13 of 14 on contested mid-range. Like at a certain point, like that's not bad defense. That's just Kawhi as a cyborg,
I saw some numbers out there,
and then Harden steps back. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, he made that.
He doesn't have anybody near like that.
The Warriors have the best defensive efficiency since Jimmy came on the team. I saw that.
Yep.
I did see that.
And I don't know if I think they're the best defensive team in the league, but I do think they're a good defensive team.
Yeah,
there are some holes. To your point, it's not perfect, but
5th in half court defense, 3rd in transition defense since the Jimmy trade. So I trust the defense. Like Sam said, I don't know if I trust the offense yet.
Defense gonna look good this series. I'll tell you that. Defense gonna look real good this series. Like, I don't know if they're gonna lose this series on the defensive end. So there's that. Maybe defensive rebounding, maybe, but. I think they'll play Steven Adams off the floor enough to where that doesn't matter as much. So,
do you guys have any? Let's talk the other series in the West. I'm not talking about the East because the playoffs in the East don't start until the conference finals.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it real quick because we've been going forever. Thunder versus the 8th seed. Does it even matter to you who wins? I feel like that's going to be The Thunder should better sweep that.
Yeah.
So
if Kyrie was healthy, maybe 6 games.
Kyrie's healthy. Theoretically, they're not.
They wouldn't be in the play-in.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Second one is let's go with the Nuggets and Clippers.
Clippers in 6.
Ooh. I think people are overrating the Clippers, by the way, which is what, to your point, the game messed with my head, but I just so much of their value derives around like this action with Zubac. I don't know. I like the Nuggets in that series weirdly, but maybe it's because I've seen Jamal Murray look like Steph so many times in the playoffs, and it makes no freaking sense. No freaking sense. So I'm gonna go with the Nuggets because at any moment we could get the notification from Shams and it could be, oh well, Kawhi, arthroscopic knee surgery. I think that's it for him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go.
I don't really know what to make of the Clippers because to me, what I saw on Sunday was that's the healthiest Kawhi's looked in 5 years. And I can't tell if they've truly done a good job of limiting him so they can get this is their best shot with him. He didn't play basically the whole season. We're going to see if he can hold up for 2 months. This is our one shot. Or if that was just a lucky game, and to your point, we're going to get a Shams notification that knee swelling isn't going to play indefinitely type of thing. I just don't know because the player I saw on Sunday, I'm like, oh, they're going to win the title. They can win the title. They can absolutely win the title if they have that version of Kawhi, but I don't know if that exists. So
not for 2 months, definitely not for 2. But I guess for this series, maybe he'll last for this.
Well, and that's it's hard to because it's a science question. It's like I don't know. Send me his medicals. So,
even if you send me his medicals, I wouldn't know.
No, I'll go Denver. I'll go Denver because I'm going to bet against Clipper health. I'm going to bet on Clipper luck, which is the bad scenario. All right. Lakers Wolves. I feel like it's a little slept on as a series.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, dude. The Wolves are good, man. They're gonna give
They've
the
also
Lakers
gotten
trouble.
I love Ant because Ant will actually say to the camera, I want to fucking take LeBron's head off. Like he's not afraid to say it. And whether he can or can't, we'll see. But he's at least willing to put it out there. Whereas I feel like too many of these young guys are just they don't even talk. They make it boring, you know?
Well, they're
Tatum and Shea, great players. Get up there. He's a good opponent. Fuck out of here. Tell him he's trash and you cooked him. You know, just make it fun. You know, do something with it.
They haven't had the wars. Steph is boring, but he's been through so many wars that he said some shit where it's interesting. I think Shea's never won anything. The Lakers are going to win this series, but I got a feeling that it's going to be a little closer than what people think. The Wolves have athletes, man. We always talk about how Kuminga's a good matchup for the Lakers. The Wolves got a lot of athletes. Julius Randle, who I hate, is he's still a scorer. Jaden McDaniel is going to be tough. And then Ant, and then you've got other guys around them. Nas Reed's going to have.
They do have the. I wonder if they go to the small.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I like him.
They do have the best assortment of wings to guard what is tough to guard, which is LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. That's kind of most teams don't have 3 wings to guard those type of guys, and they do.
Yeah,
and I actually think this is going to be a big Gobert series. I'm not a Gobert guy.
Really?
I'm not a Gobert guy, but
redemption,
brother Jackson Hayes.
Yeah.
How much
they're bringing out? They called up a guy from single A, and he's about to throw 88 down the middle. If Rudy can't hit that, I don't know what.
Well, what if they go switch and they go small and Luka picks on him and Gobert gets run off the court? Right. I think that's the.
I don't think Jackson Hayes is playing more than 12 minutes a game.
Rui's at the 5. You were pulling Gobert out to the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
Luka's running pick and roll.
Oh, shoot the ball, Rui. Have Gobert guard. Have Rudy guard Rui and live with, Rui taking 12 threes. I would love, if I'm Minnesota, Rui calling his own number repeatedly instead of the other guys is a dream scenario. I don't know. I think he could be a little bit of an issue for them.
I think the Wolves win this series.
Wow.
And maybe that's me wish casting.
Yeah.
LeBron's 40. Luka's fat. Is Austin Reeves ready for his moment? I mean, he's really good. I don't know.
He's the consistent one.
He has been. He's been their most consistent guy. like you guys kind of said, the Wolves have a lot of bodies to throw at the Lakers' wings, but they also shoot the hell out of the ball. I think people are underrating that. They shoot the absolute. They can get as hot as anybody in the NBA from the 3-point line, especially when they go small. Dante, Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
What about Dante?
Yeah, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who like for me, like
Weird
if I'm telling Moses Moody to become a player, it's that guy. Like watch him play. That's who you need to be in 4 or 5 years.
Defender.
And is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league now. Nas shoots the hell out of it. Like they can put a lot of shooting on the floor or they can go big. They're really versatile. And I just think Luka isn't where he needs to be for them to I mean, the Lakers could still win that series. Just in general, Luka is not where he needs to be for the Lakers to make a real championship run.
I'm gonna tie this together. LeBron also makes Luka worse. Sorry. He's not going to like Luka needs.
I agree.
Luka needs the ball in his hands, and he doesn't get the ball in his hands, and so you get games like the Laker game against the Warriors where you're like, dude, he's just a non-factor.
That's what I'm saying. Agree.
I mean, if Luka was on the Warriors, I think he would look amazing next to Steph. But
he would be the Batman. Luka would be the Batman. Steph's the Robin. I mean, Steph's always the Robin, right? Steph's got like 10 Batmans next to him.
Maybe he's just the better offensive player than LeBron because it's easier to play with him. Anyway,
there you go.
Beautiful.
I think I'm going to pick the Lakers. I'm siding with Tommy's argument, basketball-wise.
Yep.
But I saw Adam. I saw him on Pat McAfee today. Brother, I will believe the Lakers lose a game cleanly when I see it. I'm expecting 2002 Sacramento Kings Lakers style officiating when Minnesota goes up 3-2. That's what I'm betting on. Adam is not letting us miss Warriors Lakers.
That's it. That's the one right there. Do you think second round Warriors Lakers? That's happening. There's no way. Get ready, Dylan Brooks. You're going to be in foul trouble in Game 6 within the first 3 minutes. Get ready. Jaden McDaniels, you're going to be fouled out by the second quarter in Game 6 in LA, buddy. In Minnesota. Get ready.
Ant's going to say something because he talks. Gone. 3rd minute of the game. Yeah, double T. Immediately. So, sorry. I don't believe in conspiracies for the most part, but I do believe in one specific conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that one is, it's just amazing. Nico traveled the world with Rob Pelinka, following Kobe around for years, and then decided to make a trade that universally no one on earth would ever advise anyone to make, including ownership, who has to understand how much money the one guy brings them. But, whatever, it's just, he had defense wins championships, brother. Defense wins championships.
Incredible
stuff. I saw tweets yesterday from people. I see the vision. Yeah, the vision is you're playing the fucking Kings. The vision. That's the vision. Anytime you play the Kings, you're going to blow them out. What are we talking?
Undoubtedly, Anthony Davis destroys the Kings. I give you that.
Yeah. Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. All right.
All right, everyone. See y'all on playback.